human zoo. On Sunday, a spectator was arrested for throwing a water bottle at the Brooklyn Nets guard. Irving was walking off the court after the Nets beat his former team, the Boston Celtics. The bottle narrowly missed his head. This is the latest in a string of ugly NBA fan behavior. Last week, 3 NBA teams indefinitely banned fans for unruly and outright disrespectful behavior toward players. Just last night, a fan ran out of the court at the Wizards game against the 76ers. The man jumped up and slapped the backboard. He was quickly tackled by security and removed from the arena. Joining me now, NBA legend Isaiah Thomas. He's a Turner Sports NBA analyst and former NBA champion. Metta World Peace joins us as well. He is no stranger to ugly interactions between fans and players. He was at the center of the infamous malice in the Palace Brawl in 2004. Look, what we've seen the last few weeks, it's awful. I mean, it's awful. Throwing a water bottle, Isaiah Thomas says, spitting at other players here. It's just wrong, Isaiah, and I wonder why you think it's happening.
Well, let me start off by saying we are excited to have the fans back in the arena, believe it or not. And when you look at the fans' behavior right now, we have to be concerned about player safety. And you ask, why is it happening? We've been pent up in COVID for so long. Maybe this is the reason. But then you also have to look at it historically, because this has been happening for a long time. And I think we have to listen to the players now when they're talking about their humanity as human beings, because some of these acts are really dehumanizing and not necessarily fan and player and sport interaction. So there's definitely a fine line, and that line has been crossed, especially when you start spitting and throwing things at play inside the arena.
And look, that's why I thought what Kyrie Irving said about being treated like you're in a human zoo was so poignant. Metta, I'm wondering if those words hit home for you.
Well, I mean, the words don't necessarily hit home for me. I do agree with Kyrie's stance on certain things. And then I also agree with what Coach Thomas said also. I think the fans have been home and stressed for so long, and nobody's perfect, but you can't take it out on the players. So they got to just get a hold. They got to get control of themselves. I mean, when you spit on somebody, that's super disrespect. Popcorn, all right, yeah, all right, I get it. Get a little suspension or something. A water bottle, that's a little dangerous, right? Water bottle that can hit him in the eye or something like that. I'm not going to really get involved with the fan running on the floor. We've seen that in football and baseball, and that's just sometimes fans get out of control a little bit. But the spitting in the water bottle, the popcorn also, I'm not, just like disregarding the popcorn, but the spitting in the water bottle is kind of ridiculous.
And look, and this is something you've been in the middle of, man. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there was the interaction, and you ended up in the stands fighting with a fan, as was after a beer, I think, was thrown on you, and it hit you, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, so what can go on here, and I know you've talked to the fan you were in the interaction with. You've apologized to each other for what happened, but this can get really ugly.
Well, I didn't apologize to him. He apologized to me.
All right. Okay. Yeah. That's important.
But I mean, the reason I did that was because that was an issue between a man and a man. I'm from the street, so when I have an issue with a man, I just take it up with that man. When I got hit with that cup, the gentleman next to John Green made a bet, and people was like, "You hit the wrong person." Well, that wasn't true, because the guy who made the bet of $50 that John Green couldn't hit me, they both was involved in that situation. Those were the only two people that I was personally upset with, and I know that because me and John, we speak now, which nobody thought that would ever happen. But with that being said, when I first spoke to him on the phone and hunted down his number, I told him he was an a-hole. I got that out the way. He apologized, and that was it. And he told me the story, and it's all about, because sometimes we come from different backgrounds.
Sure.
I'm from Queensbridge, New York, and these fans are sometimes from other places, and they don't really get it. And if you look at the history of America, you might think that's okay, but it's not okay, to be, it's almost similar to what Kyrie said, treating people like they're animals in a zoo. Like, just come and enjoy the game.
So Isaiah,
and I think that'll handle a lot.
Isaiah, you've thought about this a lot. What can happen? What do you think should happen going forward? Do you think there needs to be more space between the fans and the players? Is there some kind of new safety measure that needs to go into place?
Well, definitely, player safety again is a concern, and what makes our game so unique and so beautiful is that the interaction between the players and the fans, and how close it is. And as Metta was just describing, the emotions that we bring to the arena, and the emotions that we elicit from fans, the passion that we bring, that's what sports is truly all about. Now, we as athletes, former athletes, we have been conditioned and trained to really, control our emotions inside the arena, because we know there may be some verbal abuse that comes along being inside the arena, crowd noise and everything else. But the physical abuse and the inhumane abuse, those are things that cross the line. And when that happens, that's when the NBA and the NBPA must step forward and now start saying, how do we protect our environment? How do we protect the workplace? How do we protect the players? But not necessarily eliminating the fans. But the fans do have some responsibility also.
And Isaiah, I love to let you go, but in 10 seconds or less, you also think race is a factor here.
Well, when you talk about dehumanizing people, right, then race is embedded in every governmental system in our society. So when our players, again, speak about being dehumanized, then race becomes a factor.
Isaiah Thomas, Metta World Peace. A pleasure to speak to both of you. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Nice to see you, Coach.
I love you, Metta.
Up next, Naomi Osaka pulls out of a major tournament.